Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to this new session on inspiring speeches, which help you to increase your personal growth and self-development. The subject matter I have chosen today is indeed a very interesting one, as almost everyone makes use of it on a daily basis. And that topic is called ego. Ego is present in the creation of the human body. A very simple definition of ego is intelligence which has been falsified. Now you will agree that we have to make use of intelligence to take smarter decisions. The more intelligence we put in our thinking, in our actions, the much better we are in our lives, isn't it? So when we say that ego is intelligence which has been falsified, this means to say that the real intelligence which is inside of us is not showing its full potential, or it has been tainted by darkness. And the net result is that your intelligence is decreased. You are not able to operate at the required level of your intelligence because it is affected by darkness. So when your intelligence is falsified, it starts to corrupt your behavior. You shall become more negative than positive. And spiritually, it is stated that as soon as you think of doing a bad job, a bad task, you move closer to evil. And this is the truth. So when you are close to evil, you will necessarily do an evil task. You cannot perform a good task when your mode of operation is evil. This is logical. So you see how ego functions. It falsifies your attitude and the corresponding behaviors. Now, whenever people are in conflict, they usually use this word. They will say you are using too much ego in your conversation, in your thinking, or even in your actions. And this word is quite little understood, and this is why I wanted to share with you what is really the ego of a person. Ego is made up of three components. The first one is the self-esteem, the second one is the self-image, and the third one is the self-identity. So these three components made up the ego of a person, and of course the ego is present in persons in varying proportions. Briefly, we can state we have low levels, average levels, and high levels. Ego is such a creation that you must be very cautious of it, because it has a direct influence on your attitude and on your behavior. The negative characteristics which are attributed to ego are quite long, but the main ones are pride, selfishness, lack of compassion, using harsh words on person, using foul language, being offensive verbally and physically, being unkind, thinking only of oneself first and others last, using the word I more often than the word we. This is ego in action. And people with ego will tend to feel that they are superior to others. They will even look down upon other people. They will say, I am superior, you are inferior. Now, the perception of superior may arise in different situations. An egoistic person may say that I am superior because I have more wealth, because I have a higher status in society. I am a prime minister, I am a president, I am a senior manager, and so on and so on. You can feel that you are superior because you live in certain areas, because you travel frequently by an aeroplane, because you own this brand of car rather than another one. So you see how ego is omnipresent in our daily lives. But the danger, it is silent, it is invisible, it is imperceptible to the naked eyes. And you can't even detect it in yourself and in others. Sometimes you can be right in saying that a person is highly egoistic or not. Sometimes you can't. But with spiritual practices, you shall be able to correctly identify egoistic persons. However, you shall not be able to do much about it because ego is also related to karma. You will recall the session on karma and unconsciousness. So whatever you are is based on your karma and your consciousness. Whatever you have done and developed in past lives is present now, and ego will also be present. Now, ego works closely also with memory and experience. When you still remember every bad actions, every bad moments you had in your life, it means your ego is well developed. Because when you forget, it means you have forgiven the person. It means you have forgotten the past painful experiences of your life. But of course, this is very, very difficult to do unless you have the required internal energy and the willpower to do it, isn't it? As long as you remember someone who has acted wrongly towards you, it means you have not forgiven that person because of your ego. And every time you access that painful event, that painful moment through your memory, it means that your ego is fully active. That is a very interesting information to understand about how ego functions. That is through memory and experience. Now you will appreciate that everybody's memory and experience are not the same. And most difficult to do is to forgive someone. And spiritually it is said you should always forgive. In every religion this is taught in the Holy Scriptures. Always forgive. But in order to do that, to forgive and to reduce your level of ego, it is a very incredible task. Many people fail in this area because they wish to keep that fire of anger, that fire of frustration, that fire of superiority in their body, in their system. But as long as the fire is there, the ego will be present. All your attitudes towards that person will remain the same, or if not, they will grow more negatively. Then what will happen? the conflict shall be ever present. It shall never die. Why? Because of a friend who lives inside of your body, inside of your mind, and who is a very bad friend. And that friend is called ego. But many people like to take very good care of this bad friend. They look after it very well, because every time there is a conflict, they speak angrily, they use foul language, they speak harshly, they can come even into a physical encounter with that person, and the whole process becomes very bitter for everyone. Because of what? Because of the ego. Now make the experience and tell somebody, you know, you have a big ego, that is why you are like this. I'm sure you will know what will happen. That person will defend himself or herself immediately. Oh no, I don't have ego. How can you say this? You have always been like that. And the process of conflict starts again. I'm sure everyone can see you in this little picture that I have just described. And wherever there is conflict, ego is always present on both sides. Now, spiritual persons are meant and instructed to always forgive. We are even told in the Holy Scriptures to bless our enemies, to bless those who hate us. Do you think that is easy to be done? Can you forgive your enemies who have hurt you a lot? Physically, emotionally, financially, and so on. Can you bless your enemies? Can you sit down and pray, oh God, please bless my enemies? They don't know what they are doing. They are ignorant persons. Please forgive them. That is what you must do. But this is a task that resembles lifting a mountain. The task is very, very, very huge. And loads of people are not ready to do this because of the ego, because of the lack of spiritual growth, because of the lack of divine energy. So many persons come to me because of conflicts in the families, in the office, and I ask them to forgive, because this is what the Holy Scriptures ask us to do. But they try and they fail, but they try and they fail, because they are not doing it with their heart. You understand what it is to do something with your heart? That is, your full attention is needed. Your full energy is required. And you have to have a lot of determination to do that. But if you are only partially willing to forgive somebody, to correct your own attitude, to correct your own thinking process, and finally to correct your behavior, which is negative and which is controlled by your ego, how will you succeed? You see, personal development is your own personal effort. There is no miracle formula sitting in the hypermarket or in the drugstores or in plants, leaves, flowers, fruits, whatever you may be imagining. It is only you and you. You and yourself. You and your determination. Now, sometimes egoistic persons will change, but only when they decide. If somebody has chosen not to change, nothing will happen. Now, many students have told me, Guruji, you know, this person is in my family is like that, behaving like this, behaving like that, which are not correct, which is disturbing the atmosphere in the family and every place where they go. Please help them. Ask them to change. I say I can only pray for them. That is all I can do. Because the job is impossible to do. In the Holy Scriptures, it is written that to leave these persons alone. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in the Mahabharata, don't move these persons. Leave them where they are. Karma will take care of themselves. So how can we change somebody unless that person decides to change himself or herself? When the person says, yes, I agree, I am egoistic. I agree my behavior is not correct. I agree my thinking process is not good and is disrupting the harmony of my family or at my workplace and so on. Then something can be done. Because God says, help yourself and then I will help you. Make the first step, then I will push you 10 steps forward. Isn't it? You have heard about this. But where is your first step? It's not your family member who will tell you, you need to change. Please do it for the sake of the family. This will not help. The person himself must say, I want to change. Yes, I am guilty of many actions which are not correct. Let me change. Please help me. I want to change. Now, do you know what kind of humility you require to say, please help me? I need to change. Do you realize how much humility is required to say that simple sentence? Please help me. I need to change. It will require a lot of humility. And above all, you should be conscious that you are an egoistic person. Can you look yourself in the mirror and say, yes, I am an egoistic person. I am a selfish person. Very hard to do. But that is what is recommended spiritually. Analyze who you are. Analyze who really you are. And try to see the truth, however bitter, however ugly the truth is, face it. Because until you don't do this, nothing will happen. No change will be possible. And change is the name of the game, isn't it? Life is not static, it is dynamic. Even in management courses, you have been taught, change or die. Change is the name of the game. In this game of life, always change for the better, of course. Don't change for the worst. This will be contrary to self-development, isn't it? But you need guidance to change. You can't start by yourself because there are rules and regulations. There are steps to be taken in preferred directions rather than others. So you need guidance of people who have already walked on this path, isn't it? Several persons have walked. Choose one whom you prefer, whom you believe can help you, then walk. You have to walk. But of course you'll be guided. When you are guided, it is much easier. When you are not guided, the path is difficult, the change is difficult, if not impossible. That is the truth about ego. So now when you think about all what I have said, and of course, which is not my own words, my own criticism, this is only stated in the Holy Scriptures. You will be surprised that the word ego lies in Holy Scriptures. Difficult persons, evil persons are mentioned in the Holy Scriptures. In every religion there are beautiful stories of evil persons, which we call demons, who are defeated by the divine persons. This is the truth. So ego is the demon who is inside of you. So you have to kill it with the use of divine energy. But it is not by going to the temple 2 or 3 times in a week that you will get the required help. It will not happen. You are wasting your time. If it happened, this earth would have been a very nice place to live in, isn't it? Because at every corner of the streets, in every area, there are all kinds of temples and so on. Do you see people changing by going 2 or 3 or 4 or 7 times a week to the temple? I don't see it. So the process must be different, isn't it? This is logical. If you are repeating the same process, the same steps, and you don't see any change, so you continue the same steps. How do we call that? And that word is also used in the scriptures. It is called foolishness. You continue the same actions and you don't get results and you keep going on and on. Find another path. Find the correct path. Now I'm not saying that going to a temple is a bad thing. It is the start of the job. But you need much more than that to grow spiritually. It is of a higher level. That is all I'm saying. So here we are about what you need to know on ego and how it acts on your thinking process, on your attitude, and finally on your actions. All negative behaviors are related to your ego. And there are several levels of ego in a person. But yet many persons will defend themselves when you will say you are egoistic. So make maximum use of this information on ego. Try to analyze who really you are, where your faults are, where your bad habits are, and little by little start to get rid of them. Start to correct your behavior, and that is the most important thing to do. And when you are able to do this gradually, then your self-development will reach higher levels. And I believe this is what you want, isn't it? So make the most of it. And as usual, I will end this session by asking you to keep liking the videos, keep sharing, and keep commenting so that a greater percentage of persons are able to get access to this higher knowledge. Thank you for your attention.